installing our Windows 7, we are going to insert our flash drive and then we are going to turn on our PC. And then we're going to click F10 or press F10. In here, we are just going to select USB device. Here, we will select Windows Setup and then Windows 7. We will click Next, then Install Now. Here, we will be selecting Windows 7 Ultimate 64-bit. Then, check the box, I accept the license terms. And then we will click Custom. In here, we are going to do our partition. But first, we need to delete the existing partition so that we can create our own. We're going to click New and then we will do our partition. Okay, our partition would be 60, 20, 20. Then we are going to click the unallocated space. We'll click New for the other 20 and 20. And then here, we will just click New for the last unallocated, our last partition. We'll click unallocated space and we will just click Apply. Then we will go back to the partition 2 and we will click Next. And we will just wait. Here we are going to type a username, the computer name, and then we will click Next. And then Next, Next, and we will click Ask Me Later. We will change the time zone. Any country will do as long as it's +8. And we will also change the time and date. And then we will click Next. Now, we are done installing our Windows 7. The next thing we're going to do is that we will format our drives D and E so that we can use them. And to format it, we need to go to Windows Explorer. We will go to Computer and then we will now format it. In installing our Windows server, we are going to insert our flash drive and we are going to turn on our PC. And we will also press F10. Here we are going to select Windows Setup and then Windows Setup again. Here we will just click Next and then Install Now. We will select the Windows Server 2008 R2 Standard Full Installation, then we will accept the license terms, then Custom, and then we are now here in our partition. We will delete the existing partition so that we can create our own. Our partition would be 60, 20, 20. And then we will go back to partition 2 and then we will click Next and now we wait. The user's password must be changed before logging on the first time, so we will set our password. Now we are done installing our Windows server, and the next thing that we're going to do is that we will configure our server PC. After installing our Windows server, the initial configuration tasks will appear. The first thing we're going to do here is that we will set the time zone. We will set it to +8, so any country will do as long as it's +8, the same time zone as the Philippines, and then we'll change the date and time. After that, we are going to configure networking. We will go to local area connection, properties, and then internet protocol version 4, and then we will use the following IP address. We will set the server PC's IP address to 192.168.0.1, and then we will just click on the subnet mask, and then we will set our default gateway to our WAPs or wireless access points IP address 192.168.0.50, and then the preferred DNS server would be the IP address of our server. In setting our IP address, it is up to us what we are going to put as long as it's in the range of the scope that we are going to set later. Next is that we will provide computer name. We will click change, and then we will set the name of our computer. In here, I set this to BTS server, and then I click OK. And then to apply the changes, we need to restart our PC. Okay, so we will run DC promo here to go to the Active Directory domain services. Now we are here in our Active Directory domain services installation wizard, and we will just click next, next, and then we will create a new domain in a new format. Then next. Here I will type my domain. The name of my domain is bts.com. Here we will select the version of the server that we installed. Then we will click next. We will click next, and then yes, and then next, and then we will set the password. Then we will click next, and here is the summary of what we did in our Active Directory Domain Services installation wizard. Then we will click next. We will check the reboot on completion. If we don't check this box, we will reboot our computer manually. Here we are just going to Ctrl-Alt-Delete to log on, and then we will enter the password that we have set earlier. Now we are done setting the time zone, configuring the networking, and providing computer name and the domain, which is the bts.com. We will now proceed to the add roles. We will click the add roles, then we will click next. We will check the DHCP server and the print and document services, then we will click next, then next, next, then we will validate the IP address that we have set in our server PC. Now that we can see that it's valid, we will click next, and then next, and then in the DHCP scopes we will add the IP address range, so we will click add, and then we will provide the scope name, the starting IP address, and the ending IP address. In here, it just depends on how many devices that we have. Suppose that we have 100 devices including our server PC, so the starting IP address would be 192.168.0.1 and our ending IP address would be 192.168.0.100. Then we will click OK, and then we will click next, and then next, we would just use our current credentials, and then next, and then next, and then as we can see here, this is the summary of what we did, and then we will just click install, and then we will close. Next is that we are going to add features, and then we will check Windows Server Backup Features, then next, and then we will click install. After that, we will close it. Next, we will enable remote desktop, and then we will click apply, then OK.
Next, we are going to create OU. And in creating OU, we are going to go to Server Manager. There are two ways to go to Server Manager. First is here. There is an icon here, which is the Server Manager. And also here in the start, you will go to Administrative Tools, and then you will go to Server Manager. But the easiest way is to just click the icon. And then we will plus sign the roles, Active Directory Domain Services, Active Directory Users and Computers, and then the domain, we will just double click our domain. Here, there are two ways to create OU. We'll just right click here in the domain, then we'll click next, then we will, then we will click organizational unit. Our first organizational unit is the wrap line. We'll click OK. The other way is that we will click here in the domain, and we will right click here along with the other containers. We will right click in the empty spot, and we will click new, then organizational unit. We will name our organizational unit vocal line. Then we will click OK. So we have now two organizational unit. And now we are going to create a domain user for these two organizational unit. First, we will create users here, domain users here. We'll just click new user, Kim Namjoon. Next, the password. We'll confirm our password. We'll uncheck this, and we'll check user cannot change password and password never expires. Next, and then finish. Okay, so we will add another user. In here, we can right click, and we can also click here in the empty space. Okay, next, we are going to create a admin account or the administrator account. So, to make administrator account, we will go to users. Under our domain, we will go to users, and then we will click administrator, and we will copy. This would be our admin user. Okay, now we are done creating our admin users. Then, in here, we are going to configure our client PC. So, we'll just go here first. We will go to Network and Sharing Center, change adapter settings. We'll go to Properties, we'll change its IP address, 192.168.0.1. 2. And then the default gateway would be the IP address of our WAP. 168.0.50. Then here 192.168.0. That's the IP address of our server. Okay. Okay. Close. And then here, we will change the advanced sharing settings. We will turn on everything except for the password. And then, after that, we will go to computer. We will go to properties. Click change settings. Here, we're going to change it here. Then, we will go to the domain. We will type our domain here. Our domain is bts.com. So, this will appear. So, we will just enter administrator. Administrator, the password that we have set. Then we will click OK. Okay, it says here, welcome to the bts.com domain. So, we are now connected, or we are now part of the bts.com domain. And in order to save the changes, we are going to restart our computer. Restart now.
The indication that we have already joined the domain is that there will be a press Ctrl Alt Delete to log on in our client PC.
Okay, and now we are going to do the file sharing with and without restriction. As you can see here in my client PC and my server PC, they are both done. I am both done setting them up. We are now going to do the file sharing with and without restrictions.
So here in my server PC,
I will create a folder that is shared to everyone. So I will create that here in the local disk B. Okay, before we can use it, we are going to format it. Close it. Okay, so I will create a folder that is entitled Shared to Everyone. Shared to everyone. So I will just click here, then we will right click here, then we will go to properties. We will go to the sharing tab. We will click share. We will click, because the folder name is shared to everyone, we will click everyone, and then we will add, and then we will change the permission level to read or write, and then we are going to share. Okay, done. And then we're not done yet, but we will also go here in the advanced sharing, share to everyone. We are just going to check here in the permissions, allow everything. Here, this is everyone. Then we will allow the full control, and we will click OK, OK, and then we will close. To check it, if we have really shared it to everyone that is a member of our domain, we are going to our client PC. So we will just go here to check. We are going to type here in the start if we can access the folder that I have made in the server PC. We are going to type // and then we will input the name of our server. It is not case sensitive, so no need to worry. Enter the network password. Okay, here we can see that we can access the folder that is shared to everyone. Yes. That is the file sharing without restriction.
So now we will make the file sharing with restriction.
So I will make another folder here in our drive B. New folder. Okay, shared to one of our domain users like Min Yoongi. Shared to Min Yoongi. We're going to right click this. We'll go to properties, sharing tab, share. Since we are making the file sharing with restriction, we are not going to click everyone but find people. We will find Yoongi here. Min. So here he is. Then we'll just click OK. Here we are going to change his permission level to read or write, and then we will click share and we will click done. And then we will also click here in the advanced sharing, then permissions. We're going to remove the everyone and we will add Yoongi. Then we'll click OK, and then we will allow full control. Then we will apply and then OK, apply, OK, and then we are going to close. And now to check again, we are going back to our client PC. Going back to our client PC, we will enter the account of Yoongi. So we'll just switch user, Control Alt Delete. We will click other user, and then we will log in the name of Min Yoongi, and we will click the password. We'll input the password.
Then we will check if other user can access the folder that is shared only to Min Yoongi.
We will input double backslash. We will input double backslash and then our server. Hit enter. Here, as we can see, Windows cannot access BTS server shared to Min Yoongi because our user is John Jungkook. So we are done file sharing with restrictions. And now we will proceed to creating our GPO here in our server PC. In creating our GPO, we are going to Server Manager. We'll just minus this. We are going to Features, Group Policy Management, Forest, Domains, bts.com, Group Policy Objects, or we can create under directly in our OU. Okay, so under OU, we will create here in our vocal line. We will right click, create a GPO in this domain and link it here so that we can create GPO and link our GPO. Or the name of our GPO would be printer. Then we will click OK here. And then we will go to roles, print and document services, print management, print servers, BTS server, local, printers. As we can see here, we have our Microsoft XPS document writer. We will right click this and we will deploy with group policy. And we will browse, and then we will click all. We will click the printer, OK. Then we will check the per user and the per machine, and then we will add. And then we'll click apply. And we'll click OK. So, to see if we have deployed the printer, we're going here in the deployed printers. So, you can see we have successfully deployed our printer. And then I will create another GPO. I will click here in the wrap line a GPO. Create GPO in this domain and then click here. I will click here no sticky notes. Okay. And we will just right click here in our GPO, and then we will edit, and we will go to user configuration, policies, administrative templates, system. We will go to don't run specified Windows applications, and then we will click enabled, and then we will click show, and we will put the exe file or the name of our sticky notes here. We will find the sticky notes here in its application form. Sticky notes. We'll show file location or open file location. Here, this is the application file, and then we will copy its word letter per letter. Then we will type it here. Sticky. And we are going to add .exe. And then we'll maximize this so we can apply, and then OK. Okay, now we are going to see if they can access the sticky notes. So it's the wrap line that I have made them not access the sticky notes.
For our GPO to take effect, we will type in the start gp update /force.
Okay, user policy update has completed successfully. That's what we will do after we have set our GPO here. Okay, now we will see if the domain user under the wrapline OU can access sticky notes. Sticky notes. Enter. Yes, this operation has been cancelled due to restrictions in effect on this computer. Please contact your system administrator.
We can see that the gp update /force has taken effect because we forced it.
Okay, now we are done creating our GPO, linking our GPO, and deploying our GPO.
Now, what we're going to do is that we will perform the Windows Server backup.
And to do that, we are going to go to Start, Administrative Tools, Windows Server Backup here. Now, we will just click Backup once. Next, we will click Custom. I want to choose Custom Volumes Files for Backup. Click Next. And we will now add items. We will add items from the local disk D. I will back up the shared to everyone folder. Then I will click OK. And then Next. Local drivers. Next. So, in here, the backup destination, we will not put here in the system reserve because system reserve is just 100 MB and we don't know if our file is big or not. So, we will just click here in the local disk E. This, we will put our backup here. The original destination is in the drive D and we will back up it here in the drive E. We'll click next and then we'll click backup. Okay, and after that, we are going to close. So, as we can see, our backup was successful. And now, we are going to delete that. Okay, we are going to delete that. We'll go to computer, our drive D, share to everyone, delete. Yes, continue. We will also empty our recycle bin. Okay. Now, we are going to recover the file that we have deleted. Okay, we will go to Start, Administrative Tools, Windows Server Backup, Recover, this server. There are no other times, so we'll just click Next. Files and Folders, server, local disk D, shared to everyone. Next. Here, we will pick another location and then we will browse. We'll put it in the drive D. Okay. And then we will click next and then we will recover. And as we can see, it is now completed, closed. So, as you can see here, file recovery, it is successful. We will check if we have recovered it. We have really recovered it. We'll go to local disk D, and now it's back here. Okay, and now we're done recovering backup files. That's all. Thank you.